All right, let's pull back the curtain on the tech you use every single day. We're going to break down what really makes your computer tick by looking at its 10 most essential components. It's something we almost never think about, right? You click a mouse, you tap a key, and stuff just happens. But it's not magic. It is an incredible, complex dance between all these different parts working together. And today we're going to map out that entire dance for you, from the tiniest silicon chips inside your machine all the way out to the global cloud. So, we're going to look at this as a complete digital ecosystem. First, we'll dive into the core hardware, the physical guts of the machine. Then, we'll talk about the software that tells that hardware what to do. After that, we'll see how your computer connects to everything else. And finally, we'll zoom way out to look at the huge, invisible infrastructure that powers our entire digital world. Okay, let's start at the very heart of it all. This is the physical stuff, the collection of circuits and silicon that make up the computer's body and, maybe most importantly, its brain. First up, you've got the Central Processing Unit, or CPU. Think of this as the master commander of the whole operation. Every single command, from opening a file to editing a video, has to go through the CPU. You've probably heard of the big players here, like Intel or AMD. Now, its speed is measured in gigahertz, which is just a fancy way of saying how many billions of calculations it can do per second. And modern CPUs have multiple cores, which is kind of like having several brains working together at the same time to get more done. So if the CPU is the brain, then RAM is its short-term memory. It stands for Random Access Memory, and it's basically a super fast temporary workspace for whatever you're doing right now. All those browser tabs you have open, the apps you're running, all of that is being juggled inside your RAM. The best way to picture this is to think of your actual desk. If you have a tiny little desk, you can maybe work on one thing before it gets all cluttered and you slow down. But if you've got a huge desk, you can spread out all your projects and switch between them easily. That's exactly what more RAM does for your computer. It gives it more digital desk space for smooth multitasking. Okay, but what about the stuff you want to keep around, forever? Well, that's where storage comes in. See, unlike RAM, which forgets everything the second you turn off the power, storage is the computer's long-term memory. Your operating system, all your apps, your photos, your documents, they all live here, safe and sound. So these days, you're going to run into two main kinds of storage. On one side, you have the old-school hard disk drives, or HDDs. These actually have a little spinning metal disk inside, kind of like a tiny record player. They're cheaper, and you can get a ton of space for your money. But on the other side, you have solid-state drives, or SSDs. These are the newer, much, much faster technology. They have no moving parts at all. And that incredible speed is why a modern computer can boot up in just a handful of seconds. Okay, so we've covered the physical body. But a body without a mind? Well, it's just an empty shell, right? So let's talk about the software. The ghost in the machine that gives all that powerful hardware its instructions and its purpose. At the very bottom of the software pile is the operating system, or OS. This is the big boss, the master manager of your entire computer. We're talking about Windows, Mac OS, Linux. This is the critical piece of software that talks to all the hardware and makes it do useful things. Seriously, without an OS, your computer is just a very expensive paperweight. So what does the OS actually do all day? Well, it's the ultimate multitasker. It manages the CPU and memory, making sure everything gets the resources it needs. It's the thing that actually launches your apps. It gives you the visual interface, your desktop, your icons, your windows, and it keeps all your data organized in that familiar files and folders system we all use. Now, sitting right on top of that OS is the application software. These are the programs we actually use to get stuff done. If the OS is like the city's roads and power grid, then the applications are the shops and offices and theaters where life actually happens. And you know these. You use them every single day. Things like Microsoft Word for writing or Google Chrome for browsing the web, creative tools like Photoshop, entertainment apps like Spotify. Each one is a specialized tool that runs on top of the OS, built to do one specific job for you. So far, we've kind of been looking at the computer as if it's this little standalone island. But its real power, its true potential, is unlocked when it connects to billions of other devices. So let's look at how your computer actually talks to the rest of the world. This connection happens thanks to networking components. Your Wi-Fi card, your Ethernet port, that little router box blinking in the corner of your room, these are the bridges that connect your personal digital island to the huge global continent that is the internet. They're what translate your computer's data into signals that can zip across the globe. Let's just quickly trace what happens when you visit a website. You type an address in your browser that sends out a request. Your router acts like a local post office and sends that request out onto the internet. The internet finds the right server, which is just another computer holding the website's files, and it sends all that data back to you. And this all happens in what, the blink of an eye? It's incredible when you think about it. Of course, once you're connected to the entire world, you need some protection. Security components, things like firewalls and antivirus software, they act like your computer's digital immune system. They're like a bodyguard, scanning everything that comes in for threats and blocking anyone who tries to get in without permission. And that's really the best way to think about it. Going on the internet without security is literally like leaving your front door unlocked and wide open in the middle of a giant city. It's not a question of if something bad will get in, it's just a matter of when. So yeah, security is absolutely crucial. All right, for this last section, we are going to zoom way, way out. We're going beyond the box on your desk and looking at the massive, mostly invisible infrastructure that you depend on every single day, probably without even realizing it. And it all starts with this amazing idea called virtualization. This is some seriously cool tech that lets one single, powerful physical computer get sliced up to act like a bunch of smaller, totally separate virtual computers. It's a total game changer for efficiency. Instead of needing 10 machines for 10 jobs, you just need one physical machine running 10 virtual ones. It saves a staggering amount of money, power, and physical space. And virtualization is the engine that really powers what we call cloud computing. When you use something like Google Drive, you're not using one specific computer somewhere. You are tapping into a massive network of these virtualized servers. That's why you can get to your files and services from any device, anywhere in the world, because your data doesn't just live on your computer anymore. It lives in the cloud. But here's the secret. The cloud isn't some fluffy thing up in the sky. The cloud has a physical home. It lives inside these things called data centers. And these are enormous, super secure buildings, sometimes as big as a whole city block, just packed to the ceiling with thousands and thousands of servers. They are the true physical heart of the internet. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about here, a single large data center can use as much electricity as a small city. We're talking enough power for over 100,000 homes. That is the kind of raw physical power it takes to keep our digital world up and running 24/7. So there you have it. From the CPU whirring away in your laptop to a massive data center hundreds of miles away, all 10 of these components are working together in this incredible global harmony. And they are always evolving, getting faster, smaller, more connected every year. Which just leaves us with one final thought. As this whole ecosystem keeps accelerating, what amazing new things will our computers be able to do next?